Hello, good evening, welcome to Upfront. My name is Raymond Acquah. Tonight, we have summoned the Electoral Commission, like Parliament summoned the Electoral Commission, to come and tell us what's with their CI that's causing some brouhaha in the Republic of Ghana. We're privileged to have a Deputy Commissioner in charge of corporate services, Dr. Bosman Asare. Doc, you're welcome to Upfront.
Thank you.
I hope you are doing well this year.
Oh, I'm doing pretty well by God's grace.
Exactly what have you done to Parliament, and what have you put or trying to put before Parliament that's causing all of this chaos?
Oh, I don't want to admit that there is chaos as far as what the EC is doing is concerned.
Last week, we told it was near fisticuffs in the House. The only luck that people had was that this was done in camera. And that you were in there, right?
No, I was in there. I thought it was more or less like people who were trying to exchange ideas. And
oh, really? That's how you saw it?
Some people felt that maybe certain things were not done the way they had anticipated. I don't think it got to the point where people were going to fight each other.
But the Marshal ordered the police and security within the prisons of Parliament
definitely,
to come on board.
Parliament is an institution where if let's assume if even the thing is so minor, you expect that if you are the person in charge of security, you have to do something, and that's very, very important.
Some have compared what happened in Parliament to what happened when the Speaker was being elected.
I wasn't there when the Speaker was being elected.
Yes.
But I think
I saw the videos of it.
The video I saw and what I saw last week in Parliament, I think you cannot compare the two. You cannot compare the two.
The controversies sometimes are varied, but why do you think they are opposed to the laying of this CI?
No, I don't think, and I wouldn't say the CI is controversial. I wouldn't say so because the EC has a special mandate in the Constitution. When you read Article 45, it talks about the functions, and 51 talks about how the EC will introduce, the EC having the powers to introduce a constitutional instrument in Parliament to regulate the registration of voters, elections, voting by proxy, etc. So I wouldn't say it's controversial. When you look at the evolution of the Electoral Commission, almost every election there are reforms that are introduced. You take stock of the previous elections, then you realize that certain things can be done in a particular way that will advance the cause of Ghana's electoral democracy. So after the 2020 elections, we met with our stakeholders, including the political parties, civil society organizations. And one of the things that came out strongly was the requirement for one to register as a voter. And in the current CI, the one we have, which we are yet to make changes to, the requirement, there are three main requirements. You must have a Ghana card, you must have a passport, and if you don't have the Ghana card, you don't have the passport, then you need two people who are registered voters to guarantee for you. But after the 2020 elections, when we met with our partners, together with civil society, everyone, we came to the conclusion that Ghana as a country had come of age. We began this process in 1992 where people were vouching for others for their nationalities. And we said, now that we have a system in place, the registration, people are registering for the Ghana card. Why don't we have a system whereby anyone who wants to register as a voter, just appear at the registration center with your Ghana card. Once you have the Ghana card, the one for foreigners, it shows that you are a foreigner. And the one for Ghanaians, it also shows that you are a Ghanaian. So instead of someone coming to vouch for you, as we have been doing for many, many years, why don't we adopt this system? And Mr. Acquah, don't forget that one of the challenges we'll be having in our elections is during the registration, where people will say somebody is not a Ghanaian, somebody is not 18 years. Even in some places, they will tell you that, oh, how you grow in your region, that's not how we grow over here. So you clearly will see people who are underage, but you have people who are vouching for them. And the Commission and its partners said, if the National Identification Authority is registering people for the Ghana card, and you don't have to pay money for it unless you want to access the premium service, why don't we open up so that when we start our registration exercise, Anytime people acquire their Ghana card and they are 18, they should just walk to the offices of the Electoral Commission in their district. Then they go ahead and register. In that way, no one is going to vote for your nationality. You have the card indicating that you are a Ghanaian.
Now, it's not interesting. You say the commission and its stakeholders came to this conclusion. Was this decision taken at IPAC?
This decision was also taken at IPAC.
That the entirety of the political party groupings agreed?
Yes.
Including the NDC?
No, the NDC didn't show up, although they were invited.
So all the political parties,
all the political parties were invited.
I agree that you should use only the Ghana card.
Yes.
So the question, you gave some background to it, which is what I've heard for the first time this time around. What mischief were you seeking to cure with the use of the Ghana card alone? You were trying to explain that.
Yeah, let me say that again. You know, people must vote for you to register. And
that's if you don't have any of the other cards.
And if you don't have the passport, you don't have the Ghana card. And we noticed, based on the challenges we had during the 2020 election, we had almost 40,000 people whose registrations were challenged because people said either they were not 18 at the time or they were not Ghanaians. So we came to the conclusion that if you can have a system that will ensure that...
Were they successful challenges though?
No, a number of them, very significant, were successfully challenged. I will put it at over 70%.
Of the 40,000?
Of the almost 40,000 people were successfully challenged.
Okay, yeah.
They were successfully challenged, so they didn't get the chance to be on the voters' roll.
And what is wrong with that process?
No, what is wrong with that process? That we've had instances where people will be vouching for people who are not 18. People will be vouching for people who are not Ghanaians.
But it's not the process that is cured with the challenge. If I vouch for somebody who is not 18 and somebody has contrary evidence to it, the person presents that evidence. Is that not the cure?
No, you know, Mr. Acquah, one of the things we need to get very clearly is that you may be successful at challenging some people.
Yes.
But how would you establish those who will not be go through the challenge process, or those who will not be challenged? It may even be possible that for every one person or for every two persons you will challenge, maybe 3 or 4 people may end up running away with it.
Or presumption of regularity.
Regularity.
They rarely have gone through the process, so they have the right to be there.
Yes. So the point is that, and now we have a system. And you know, what we are doing is not something which is unprecedented. When you go to almost all countries, even in Africa, the Francophone countries around us, all of them have their identity cards. And that's what they use. You ask around the family of friendly countries with Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, all of them. Nobody is going to vote for you. We are saying that there is this system in place. Just acquire the card. And what we are doing with this new CI is what we call the continuous registration exercise. Once we are able to lay the CI and it matures.
But this is not the first time we are doing continuous registration.
This is not the first time.
But you promised it a long time ago.
We promised a long time, but we even did it sometime in 2016. But for the current time, we are strengthening it, and it's going to be a regular feature of our electoral process.
Is it true that since 2021 you've not done continuous registration?
Yeah, we've not done that because since 2021 we've been working on the reforms, coming up with the adoption of the Ghana card and looking at the numbers that have been registered with the Ghana card. And let me also say this: when we did the registration in 2020, of a little over 17 million people we registered, more than 10 million people they registered with their Ghana card. So as we speak now, the 17 million people who are registered, so a little over 17 million people who are registered, about almost 61% of them are on the register with their Ghana card. 2020.
What is the next highest, what they call it, single ID used?
The next single ID has to do with the guarantor system.
The guarantor system,
which is almost about, maybe about 36, 35%.
Okay. No, I mean, so you are seeking to rule out or take out the guarantor system completely?
Yes, that's what we are doing. In the new CI, we are taking out
and just leaving out the Ghana card.
Just leaving out
not even the passport.
Not even the passport.
What rationale makes the passport unworthy as an ID for?
No, the commission hasn't said it anywhere that the passport is unworthy. But what we have made very clear is that when you look at the law the LI setting up the National Identification Authority and the use of the Ghana card, it clearly states that in all matters of transaction that require identification, the Ghana card shall be used. It's very clear in the law. And the Commission also took the decision that since this is something which is easily available to all Ghanaians, why don't we go by that so that there will be consistency in our register? You said easily available, right? Yes. There are some who do not have Ghana cards. No, we consider there are some who do not have, but the point is that we've been working with the National Identification Authority. The last time we met them, they made it clear that so far they've registered about 17.3 million. And of this, of the 17.3 million or so they've registered, only about 541,000 cards have not been printed. And they made us aware that they are working on getting the cards ready. And they have not told you that some people are sitting on their cards because they owe them. No, they mentioned that, but they mentioned that too. But you know that one. And then they also have people who have, they have registered, but they have not printed cards. So those they have registered and they've not printed the cards are about 541,000, and they still have additional cards there where, as you said, if they're able to clear their indebtedness to the one of their partners, they'll be able to register. And I mentioned what we are doing is a continuous registration exercise. And the next elections, the district assembly and the unit committee will be in the final quarter of the year. October, November, December, thereabout. So what we are saying is that if we are able to go through the maturity process of the new document, anytime you acquire your constitution, you acquire your Ghana card, you walk to our offices and register. So anytime you get it, and by law, when we start registration, the only time somebody cannot register has to do when it's 60 days to the elections. So assuming we'll be having the district assembly elections maybe October 10th, then it means after August 10th, no one can register. So once we begin the process, it's going to be continuous. And 2024, the date is December 7th. We haven't made any changes to it. So what that means is that we are going to register till that time. And Acquah, before you come in, as the NIA, forgive me, told you when they're able to register all Ghanaians? No, the NIA said, I think they appeared on one of your programs, I think the News File, and they mentioned that the cards that are not printed, I think within 2 weeks, they can print all of them. No, once they have the resources. The question I'm asking, can register all Ghanaians? No, and I was coming to that. Apart from using 2 weeks to print all the outstanding cards, there are over 3 million or so cards they have. They say in 6 months, they can register any Ghanaian who is available and wants to register. And we are looking at something, we are beginning from, let's say, April or May till 2024. And as I made the point earlier, in 2020, when we registered, we had over 10 million people registering to vote with their Ghana card. And this is 2023. And we know the 17 million we have on our road, they are already there, very, very intact. We are now going to add, based on the information we got from the national census, we are going to add about 2 million people to get 19 million for the 2024 elections. And this commission, when we begin registration, every day we can do, even at our district level, we can do about 50,000. No, I get the point that you are seeking there. My only difficulty is perhaps the other point that's been raised by some people, that if it's not clear that we all can get our ID cards before your registration period is over, why are you seeking to limit it to that particular one alone? No, why is there no other option? Why is it not, for example, those who had really believed that they could use their passport, for example. They went through a very serious process, biometrics, everything was taken for the passport to be done. Why is the passport, for example, ruled out? Those are the questions that they're asking. Let me start from the first premise of the question. We don't have a deadline for the registration. As I said, this is going to be a continuous registration exercise. But I say it will be prior to the district assembly elections. No. What I said was that 60 days to the elections, when we register you, you cannot be part of those who are going to vote. 60 days to the election when we register, but we will still be able to register you. So assuming we register you 60 days to the district assembly elections, within 60 days, that means you will not be able to vote, but you will still be on the roll for future future elections. So when we begin, and I was trying to make the point that when we started the registration in 2020, some of the days we were registering about 800,000 people in the particular day. We were doing that. So this is an institution that has a track record of achieving the targets we set for ourselves.
Okay.
So that's why the key thing, what I believe the discussion should be about is that anyone who will be turning 18 before 2024 elections, who will be turning 18 before 2023 district assembly elections, make sure you acquire your Ghana card. Once you acquire the Ghana card, go to the district office or the constituency where you want to vote and go and register. Because as I said, we are looking at registering about 2 million people to add to the already 17 million people that we have. And these 2 billion people, they are people who have mostly turned 18 since the last registration exercise. And what the Electoral Commission is basically saying is that just go to if you don't have your Ghana card, or let's say Ghana card is acquired at the age of 15. So let's say you are 16 now, and by 2024, or you are 17 now, by 2024 you'll be 18, you get the Ghana card. As soon as you are 18, just walk to our district office in your constituency or in your district. Then you register.
Is that happening now? Can people register at your district office now?
Now it's not happening because
we are waiting for this CI.
We are working on the CI with Parliament.
But if it's continuous, why can't we do our registration now?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the Commission came together with its partners and we have refined. We've made some changes to the requirements for registration.
This change, it's just on one point. Limit it to just the Ghana card, right?
Yes.
Now, as you hear people, especially from the NDC, oppose this, do you understand the arguments they are making?
No, we understand the argument they are making. The argument they are making basically is that many people don't have the Ghana card. And we have the assurance from the agency providing the Ghana card, registering people and issuing the Ghana card. And
can you rely on that?
Oh, in terms of relying, Mr. Acquah,
this is not the first time that the NIA has given assurances on registering people. Proud to telling us that somebody is holding on to their cards. They really told us that they'll be able to do some of these. It's the same assurance that the grouping in the name of the Communications Ministry relied on for the SIM card registration to happen. But that deadline was changed like 2 or 3 or 4 times because of the difficulties we're dealing with that. Mindful of that history, are you very convinced that the NIA can deliver the cards so that people can use it to do the kind of job that they ought to do with the registration?
From the assessment we have done as an institution, and from the engagement we have had with them, we are fully convinced. We are fully convinced that we can rely on them. And the reason is that in 2020, when we were about to do the new voters registration exercise, we flirted with the idea of engaging the NIA. But at the time, 2020, somewhere in March, they had done between 6 million and 7 million. And the Commission took the decision that the numbers were not significant, because at the time we were looking for a registrable population of about 15 to 16 million Ghanaians. So the Commission decided to use their card as one of the requirements for registration. But when we finished the registration exercise in August, they had registered more than 10 million people. So we had 10 million Ghanaians who came on the electoral roll with the Ghana card.
Automatically?
No, not automatically. That was the form of identification they used. This was 2020 in August. Since then, they've registered more, maybe when you look at the numbers, over 7 million. And now, based on the discussions and the public commentaries they've been making, we understand them saying that apart from the 540,000, which the outstanding cards they are yet to print, they also believe that there are about 2.5 million Ghanaians who are in the population who are yet to
Are these
register.
Assurances they have made to you directly as a commission?
No, they've made to us. We've had several engagements. That's why I said in 2020, the commission took the decision to engage them. So if by 2020 they had done this 17 million, that would have been easier for us. So now we've looked at the numbers, and what we are saying is that we engaged them even on Thursday, and they were telling us if they have their cards, averagely in a day they're able to do between 20,000 and 30,000.
But you don't know when they're going to pay their debts, right?
Oh, I think from the discussions we had with them and what Professor Tifa said on Newsfire yesterday, I'm sure they've been given something. And I got the assurance that from this week, the printing of the cards, the outstanding ones will begin. And very soon, the districts where people go and they complain that no registration is taking place, all these things will resume. And Mr. Acquah, let me say that ours has not started.
Yes.
We haven't started. We are looking at the maturity of the CI. So probably in May, in June. And when we begin, we are not stopping. It's continuous. So those who have turned 18 and you have your card, you just come and you register. Those who are yet to turn 18, what the commission is advising is that just go through the process of acquiring your Ghana card.
And those who could not register
who could not register, just get your Ghana card. And once we roll it out, and every day, as I said, if we want to do 50,000, we have what it takes to be able to do that.
What will make you back down on the Ghana card singular use for voter registration criteria? What will make you back down on it?
I would say so far there is no evidence to suggest that we are not going to continue with what we are doing. But to say we backing down, unless there is what the lawyers call, they have a term they use. I've forgotten the name of this term, but assuming the NIA stops its operations,
okay,
then it means we cannot continue to rely on what the force majeure.
Yes.
If there is something like NIA has stopped its operations, government has decided that NIA is no longer necessary. But as long as the NIA is functioning, and they are issuing the cards, and they've opened their doors that people should come and register, we must just encourage, and I believe those of you in the media should be encouraging people. If you want to register as a voter, you need to, because that's the best practice in every part of the world. I don't know if you know of any country where, let's say in Burkina Faso, in Togo, in Britain, where two British nationalities must vouch for somebody. No, it doesn't happen. This has been unique to Ghana, and we think that we began this in 1992. Because we've come very far. We've made progress.
Up to now, we've not gotten a single unified ID that's easy to get, and actually people will not have to struggle to go to the process to get it. That's why we find alternatives. Because the right to vote is a fundamental right. Now, we don't want to put impediments in the way of anybody acquiring the process to go through that. Yeah. That's it, right?
And then when the commission concedes so fundamental, it's so sacrosanct that all of us must ensure that it is protected for every Ghanaian.
Do you then concede that by doing this, reducing it to only the Ghana card, you are limiting the options available to people?
No, we are not limiting. What we are saying is that just take steps. You know, the right to vote is fundamental.
Yes.
And, you know, when you study human rights, we have what we call civil political rights, and we also have economic rights. The civil political rights, which the right to vote is part, is so fundamental. The state is supposed to protect it for you. But it does not in any way suggest that you, the individual, you don't have any responsibility. That's why we don't have a polling station or a registration center in your house. You have to walk out of your house to go and register. And look
for one, yeah.
So as an institution, you know, in 2020, during the 2020, we increased the number of polling stations because we felt that the polling stations should be closer to people so that they didn't have to walk distances before they will exercise the right to vote. When we did the registration, we were moving around from one place to another. So what we are saying is that you, the voter or the potential voter, you have a certain responsibility, a certain role to play. And the role is that as far as the CI is concerned, get your Ghana card. And the Ghana card is available. Although there have been some challenges, we have the assurance that they are getting the cards. People should be able to go to their district offices, register, and get the cards. Don't forget that the 2020, when we did the registration, you had to get your Ghana card. You had to get your passport. If you didn't have these two, then you had to rely on two people. That was a responsibility for the potential registrant.
Yeah, I get that.
So what we are saying is that and you know, Mr. Acquah, want to make sure that we have
poor
the cleanest
in disadvantaged societies.
No, poor people, the Ghana card is operating currently, they are operating in about 300 locations.
Okay.
About 300 locations. And you know, we don't have a limit for this exercise. What we are doing
is continuous.
It's continuous.
But your promise continues before, which really isn't happening
but now when you look at the new CI, that's why the new CI has two distinguishing features.
Okay.
The first one is the use of the Ghana card, and the second one is the continuous registration.
There won't be anything stopping that.
No, No, there won't be.
You won't come up tomorrow and change your mind on the use of the Ghana card and say we only accepting passports, or the old, what they call it, procedure should come back.
You know, the commission is made up of several individuals. Any decision of the commission, we sit down, we look at it, we analyze. And as we speak now, the commission's position is very clear. We need to use the Ghana card.
And this position will not be changed.
When you say it will not be changed, certainly, as far as I'm concerned now, that's the position of the commission. And that's what we are working with Parliament to be able to have it mature.
So when Parliament asks you to change it, will you change it?
No, I don't think, you know,
I mean, because it's part of Parliament has been suggesting this. When they ask you to change it in your engagement with them, will you change it?
No, you know, Parliament, you know, Ghana is a democracy. Various institutions, we have checks and balances in our democracy. There are certain functions Parliament performs.
Yeah.
There are certain functions SHRAJ will perform. Executive agencies like statistical, there are several functions. The commission also performs certain functions. And no, regarding laying CI, when you read the law, Parliament can advise that we should make changes. But the commission must sit down and reflect whether the changes the Parliament is suggesting will go a long way to advance the cause of our electoral democracy.
Doc, some parliamentarians have made it very clear that this particular restriction to the Ghana card is not what we want. Are you going to listen to that?
I think we've had several engagements with Parliament. We've had several engagements with the subsidiary legislation committee.
Which is really the substantive point here. Would you listen to them and change your mind?
No, so far the commission's position is very clear, that we want to go with the usage of the Ghana card.
And it remains unchanged.
It remains unchanged. So far, that's what we are doing.
What can change the mind apart from a force majeure?
Well, I think, you know, the National Identification Authority has told us that they are going to print the cards.
So nothing can change your
mind.
No,
I'm saying they've said, so if they come out again and said they can no longer register Ghanaians because of financial or operational challenges, then clearly we cannot. Because one thing that must be clear is that we are the electoral management body. And if there is any institution that will work to undermine the right to vote, it cannot be from us.
Okay, interesting.
It can never be from us. So that's why we are even advocating, telling people that this is what we are about to do. We haven't started. And the main requirement for you to register, if you are 15, you are 16, 17, you are 18, for you to register is to acquire the card. So we are even going out of our way, knowing the fundamental nature of the right to vote, that people should go out there and acquire. And don't forget, I said in 2020, when we finished the registration exercise, 10 million Ghanaians, they registered with their Ghana card.
I get the point, but let me bring in this one. Now, when this matter was panning before Parliament, I was in an interview with Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, who had categorically stated that the current electoral commission, members of the commission, you are appointed as direct stooges of the executive to try and skew the next election. They, as then he was speaking as the John Mahama campaign, will not allow that happen. They believe that this is a wrong move that should never be pursued. But the only reason you are doing this is because you are directly brought on board to skew the next election in favor of the governing party.
I think that was a flippant comment for him to make. Let me put it that way. But let's look at the evidence, the nature of our elections. So, Mr. Acquah, you are a media practitioner. You've been in the system for a while. When you look at the processes of the Electoral Commission, when you look at how things are done at the Electoral Commission, how we register people, how we print ballot papers, when we are registering people, the parties are there. When we are printing ballot papers, the parties are there. When we are distributing the ballot papers, the parties are there. When we are announcing, we are declaring results, the parties are there. Mention to me which of the processes would you be able to confidently say that the EC can use that to manipulate for any particular party?
You are seeking, mindful of the fact that the strongholds of the NDC have not yet acquired the Ghana card as well as other areas, you are seeking to use that to the advantage of the governing party.
So when you say the strongholds of a party, have you seen the numbers, the National Identification Authority, have you seen what they've registered? Do you have the figures?
that they shared previously.
Yes.
Yes.
I think they even shared it on
yes,
Newsfile.
yes.
Look at the percentages. Clearly, we are going to have some places registering more in percentage terms than others. But when you look at the numbers, they don't seem to be statistically significant. The point you and I, we who are interested in the development of our country, should be asking is the NIA, as they claim that they are operating in all districts of our country, are they indeed in every district of our country?
Are they?
Yeah, they are. I know the last time we met them, they were telling us about 300 locations. They are operating in all the regional.
And you verified all these 300?
Oh yeah, we verified. Some of them, they are in the districts. We know we have our operations in the districts as well. So the point is, let's encourage people to go and register. Once we can do that, because the thing about, I don't think it's good for some individuals to be making comments to undermine the work of the election management body. But when you look at
they suspect the commission.
You were here in 2020.
Yes, I was.
When we started the registration, didn't the NDC say their strongholds were not going to be registering people?
Yeah, that was the accusation then.
But that was the accusation then. After the registration, did you hear them saying that their people in their strongholds didn't register?
I didn't monitor or hear anything like that.
The NDC had meetings with representatives from the UN representative for, I think, the Sahel and ECOWAS. And we met the man said, the NDC said they didn't have any problem. MPP said, all of them, their people, look at the numbers.
Is there a trust issue? Have you given a reason to distrust or mistrust the Electoral Commission and this current leadership? When you talk about trust must be based on evidence. Trust must be based on evidence. But when you sit somewhere, I don't trust these people because they do A, B, C, and D, what is the evidence on the ground? That's why I said in 2020 we did the registration. Someone should come and give us the evidence that in some regions some people did not register. No one can give us that evidence. But when you look at what we got from the national census, it's so much comparable to the numbers we registered in almost all the regions of our country. Felix said they would resist this with all the power they can muster.
Resist, is it the use of the Ghana card?
Yes.
But this is not something which is new. I believe in 2020 the NDC resisted the registration. They did, but the EC went ahead too. Because the thing is that we don't mean evil. The commission has a mandate. And Mr. Acquah, you used to be my student at the University of Ghana.
Yes.
That was my place of work. The whole of Ghana, how come I was one of the people chosen to come to the Electoral Commission? Madam Chair was working in a certain capacity. Mr. Samuel Tete was working.
So you are not a stooge of the current government?
You are
not being planted at the Electoral Commission.
I can never be.
Actually skew elections
and that will even undermine my conscience. No, that can, it's not possible. Now,
I get your point you're making, but don't forget the former President John Dramani Mahama is asking that you learn lessons from Nigeria.
Mr. Acquah, I know when it comes to elections,
yes.
When it comes to election, when you are ranking, I believe any objective commentator will rank Ghana higher than Nigeria.
Based on what?
Based on the organization of the process, based on the transparency. I know you are following what is happening in Nigeria.
Yes.
You are a media man, you are following.
Yes.
Some of the things you hear, did you hear them in the 2020 elections in Ghana? What were some things you heard in the 2020 election which changed your perspective about elections in Ghana?
No, the question, you are saying that some of the things I'm hearing today, which specific ones are you doing better? I've only heard, for example, the gentleman who was asking the country, Nigeria, to learn from Ghana and put the picture and the symbol of the candidate very on the ballot paper, which really I didn't know it was not happening.
Their process is ongoing, so I wouldn't want to make so much comparison. But I think that in the sub-region, Ghana is always ranked #1 in the sub-region. And even in Africa, most of the countries, when they are talking about...
There was a time we were asked to learn from Atahiru Jega as the Electoral Commission. That was very clear. In fact, even Ghanaians were asking the Electoral Commission to learn from Nigeria at that time.
But when you look at the evidence, Ghana has always ranked highest in the sub-region. And even in Africa, you know, recently Kenyans had their elections and officials from Ghana were just going up and down. The point is that Nigeria is doing a very wonderful work, but when you are ranking, if there is a lot of learning to be done, I believe that it will be the reverse. Oh, so you are not taking lessons from
No,
we are looking, that's what I'm saying, if there is a lot of learning to be done. If there is a lot of learning to be done, our processes are more transparent, our processes are more robust. And when you look at the various stages of our processes, I mentioned to you, when we are printing the ballot papers, the parties are there. When we are distributing them, the parties are there. When we are announcing, the parties are there. When we are, everything we do at each stage of the process, security, everything. So we are working at improving. We are not sitting down.
This CI is for registration.
It's basically for registration.
Is it also for the election?
It's not for the elections.
So we should expect another CI in the
future?
There's
another CI for the elections.
When is it going to be laid?
Oh, that one we are looking at in the course of the year.
Okay.
In the course of the year, hopefully next year, because that will be for the 2024 elections.
Okay, now because that clarity people ought to know, because some were wondering whether or not, and there's a point that's being made here. And this is not fresh registration, this is continuous registration. So if you already have your voter's card, you don't need to go and register again.
And let me make it clear. Currently, our register has a little over 17 million.
It's still useful.
It's still useful. Those people are not registering again. What we are going to do is for only those who have not registered before as voters, especially in 2020. If you registered before 2020, but you didn't register in 2020, that means you have to do it again. All those who registered in 2020, they are intact. We are only looking at those who have turned 18 since the 2020 registration. And those who, for one reason or the other, didn't register in 2020. And those who were outside the country and they came back after the 2020 registration exercise. So we are looking at, based on our assessment, we are looking at about 2 million Ghanaians to add ahead of the 2024 elections. And the commission is saying that we have the capacity to register thousands of people every day once we roll out the exercise.
Okay, now because then the question about, so if I registered with the guarantor system in the last registration, my ID card is still valid, right?
Yeah, it's still valid. That's why I said the 17 million people,
they cannot be touched by this.
They are already on the roll.
Okay, so it's the same electoral roll.
It's the same electoral roll, so we are only going to add.
You are just going to restrict who gets on it with the new card.
With the new card.
Okay, I get you.
And let me also say, I'm also hearing people say we are going to vote with the Ghana card. We are not voting with the Ghana card.
It's just a mode for
registration. It's just a requirement for you to bring. And once you bring, we register you and we issue you with our voter identification card.
Okay. Now, that's also the clarity that is required there.
So
now,
you are not going to use Ghana card to vote.
Now, there's an outstanding matter. What's happened with John Jetty-Kwesi?
Oh, that one, that one is going through the court process.
Is he a member of parliament?
Oh, I don't think that's the question for the Electoral Commission.
Really?
That's not the question for the Electoral.
Because
we know there are appeal processes going on at the Supreme Court.
No, because
we have not received
because he's not sitting in parliament, right? And apparently the court says he cannot sit in parliament, but his seat has not been declared vacant.
Yes. So once it's declared vacant, the EC will go ahead and do the needful. So we haven't received any official communication that seat has been declared vacant. Now,
the other one that's also controversial is SAL, the Sancho Kofi, Akpafu,
Lulubi.
Yes, Lulubi area. What's happening to them?
Let me use this point to make this clear. You know what happened? The reason why they didn't vote for a member of parliament, the LI that created the district, it passed the parliament somewhere 2020, November 9th.
Okay.
So when the EC got the notification, it wasn't possible for the EC to lay a CI to create a constituency. So I've been hearing people blaming the EC for why they don't have a member of parliament. The EC has nothing to do with that. So when the parliament passed the LI, creating the district, in about a week or so, the parliament even went on recess for the 2020 elections. So the EC had no hand in why they didn't have a constituency.
So it was not an oversight?
It wasn't an oversight.
You didn't deliberately seek to
when you say deliberately, maybe we knew about it. The question must go to Parliament. The time they passed the LI, creating that particular district. So the EC, and as we speak now, the EC is working with the AG's office to have a CI creating that particular constituency.
But the AG believes that they should be voting at Buem rather.
You know, per our law, once a district is created, when you look at the law very well, a district can have 2 MPs. A district can have 2 members of parliament. Like a place like, Cape Coast, the Cape Coast Metro. The Metro has 2 members of parliament. But a constituency cannot be in 2 districts. An MP cannot represent 2 districts. So when you say they should vote at Buem, that means the MP for Buem will also be representing, will be the same person representing the people of the Guan district.
Okay.
So that's not possible.
Now, is this, this interpretation, there is the view that what really should happen is that Article 47.2 provides that a constituency must not fall within more than 1 region. And it has nothing to do with the district.
It has nothing to do with the district, but I know the local government law. The local government law also says that 1 MP cannot represent 2 districts. So although that one is more or less like not the parent law, it's still a law we are working with. So we at the commission believe that their constituency should be created so that in 2024 they will also vote for their member of parliament. Okay,
I get your point. So will we create it before the 2024
no, it will be created before. The processes are
when should they expect it?
The processes,
because people are lacing their boots. People want to know whether they can contest those seats.
No, the processes have begun.
So, for example, if I'm an NDC person seeking, among other things, to go to parliament on the ticket of SAL, can I start?
I'm surprised we are not using CPP or PPP.
No, I'm talking about the ones who have opened their nominations now.
Okay,
because the NDC have done so.
Yes.
Can I go and pick a form and file to actually constitute? Because there's no constituency.
The processes are ongoing, and we expect to have a meeting with the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament. Once that meeting is had, then certainly the CI will be laid.
This year?
Yeah. The processes have begun.
Okay. Well, I wanted that clarity because many people have been asking about that.
No, the processes have begun, so I won't be surprised. I understand Parliament will go on recess in March, so I'm sure it should go through by this year. Because we have done what we have to do, and we've sent the rest to the Parliament Subsidiary, and they will also look at it and take it from there. Invite the Commission, will look at it, then the laying process will begin. I know when it is laid, it takes 21 days. So I would say if anyone is nursing an ambition, the person is right to nurse that particular ambition.
Now, there's a question I want to ask you about the District Assembly. No, it is district level elections,
district
right?
Level elections.
We are doing it this year, in the last quarter of this year.
Yes.
The issue whether or not it will be on partisan basis or we are going to elect what they call it, district chief executives. Is it ever going to be considered before that time?
No, I think that one is above the pay grade of the Electoral Commission.
You have not heard any conversation on it?
No, and if even we have heard, we may not listen to it because that idea came, I think, was it 2019? And I don't know if to say it died a natural, therefore it will come back again. But that's not, it's above the pay grade of the
So the EC is preparing to do the elections and not involve the election of MMDCs?
Oh, no. What we are going to do elections for assembly members and unit committee members.
It's interesting because some of us really thought that that's part of the conversation that's supposed to come up going into the future.
So maybe then the media, you must be pushing for it.
Okay.
But
the EC doesn't have a view.
Oh, the EC doesn't have a view. The EC doesn't have a view on it.
But as a distinguished political scientist,
no, I think that the best practice around the world is where people will elect their mayors rather than president sits in Accra, then will nominate somebody in Yendi for the person to be voted on. I think the best practice in the literature is that people must be responsible for the elections of their leaders. That's what is in the literature. But in Ghana, there may be certain cultural dimensions or traditional issues that must be looked into. So if as a country we think we want to move in that direction, we have to do the analysis and and come to the conclusion whether that will be good for us. And I've heard some people saying the partisanship at the national level will have a spillover. So all these are issues that must be considered.
That will be discussed in the future. Now, there are questions that are generally important. Anytime I have a big boss at the EC, because I hardly get this opportunity rarely, I need to ask you this question. The political parties, have they all filed their returns, their accounts?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the last time we met, a number of them had done. But there were some few. But I need to check with our legal department to be sure whether all of them. But so far, I think the commission has been engaging them on why they have to make sure that all these things are done, including their...
But you're not cracking the whip on them?
No, we are. You know, recently, when we did
That's to do with offices, right?
But you know, the offices, we cracked the whip.
Yes, but I'm talking about their accounts.
So we've engaged them, and we know they have done it. But at times, the question is whether they follow best practices in doing, and we've planned that we'll have several engagements with them. And when we crack the whip, about 9 of the political parties are on probation. We've given them up to the end of the year to make sure they put their houses in order.
Has anything changed on that plate?
No, I think they are working on it, because we've met them and we've made them aware that we are going to be cracking the whip. We are going to ensure that they follow what the law says, Act 574, which regulates the work of political parties. We've mentioned that to them, and know the parties, they want to remain relevant, so they are also working on it. So, and we hope that they will continue. Well, 9 of them, so only 2 are in good standing. The remaining 9, we've mentioned to them that they have to put their houses in order.
Now, there's this other question related to what you do differently going into the next election when it comes to publicity and the other things that people ought to know about the electioneering process. As a youthful population is more likely going to be voting in the election, is there any other plan on it?
No, in terms of any other plan, I would say we have a lot.
Okay.
But now we are focusing on working on the registration. We want to be able to get the registration done. So once we do, then we'll be working on another document for elections. But in terms of publicity, as an institution, we intend to do a lot of engagement. You know, your outfit does a lot for us, and other media outlets to encourage people to register as voters, to be prepared for elections, and if they are interested in making themselves available for positions. So even the district assembly, it's one area the voter turnout is very low, less than 40%.
Yeah.
And you the media, because it's not MPP and DC, you don't show so much interest.
We do the coverage like we do all kinds of coverage.
No, I don't see that. And you need to
perhaps when you make it elective for the MMDCs, we are going to
But even the current one, since we've not done that, as a country.
But that's democracy at the grassroots.
And it's very, very important. If we can get the assemblies to be functioning very, very well, we wouldn't be having problems. We can be here and people in some districts are complaining this thing has not been done. If the assemblies are functioning very well, I believe it's a bottom-up system. So we have to, and the media, I think you are corporates in that.
Okay, we sure will be happy to get better at it. But let me ask you this question. There's a question about the role of the EC boss. Should he be with specific term limits?
Oh, I don't know if I'm the right person.
Because you are in the seat. You have experience in the office.
I don't think I'm the right person to do, because for us at the EC,
some are proposing constitutional changes to that.
It's a legitimate proposition, and those who will be against will also make a very legitimate.
What will be the argument for, in your own opinion?
Oh, I don't.
From your experience in office, is a limit on your term better than an expansive term that goes with age?
I would say for both sides, there are advantages and disadvantages. But I think there is no problem with the current arrangement. And for those of us who are occupying, I think we will be okay with whatever it will be the constitutional position. Because you don't determine how many years you should serve. So if the law makes it very clear, we should be fine with it.
Is our election too expensive? Unit cost per voter? Too expensive?
This commission did a great job of bringing, in 2016, we did the elections at almost 13 cedis, $13.40 per voter. In 2020, we came down to $7.70, a very significant, almost 40% reduction. We did a very good job, and we as a commission, we are determined to reduce it further. But when you look at the cost per voter, looking at Ghana's population and our level of development, I would say the cost is well within our means as a country. because other countries similarly situated are spending so more than we do. And we're able to get quality, we're able to ensure that things are done properly. And in 2020, you covered the election. Things we saw significant improvement. People, you didn't see a lot of queues, apart from in the morning between 7 to 8:30 thereabout. Then instantly all the queues, there were no queues at the polling station. Everything went on smoothly. In spite of the new equipment we bought, we were still able to cut down costs. And the commission intends to do that.
8 to 2 is the time Nigeria is using. Is it 8? Yeah, 8 to 2, right?
I think it's 8:30 to 2.
Yes, 8:30 to 2. Are we considering amending our own?
I think one of the reforms, when I talked about the adoption of the Ghana card at the forum, one of the things that also came out strongly was the time. And the conclusion was that we should be looking at beginning the elections at 7 as we do, then probably close at 3 p.m.
Okay.
But that one is for a different constitutional instrument. But when you look at it, we'll be doing about 7 to 7, that's almost 8 hours, because 7 to 12 is 5 hours.
Okay.
12 to 3 is about we just have to make sure we do a lot of public education so that all people, some people may want to go to the farms before they come and vote. So you need to encourage, educate people that if you want to go and come. So once we're able to put these things right, engage in intensive public education, we can do that. And this is something, as you said, we can take some lessons from our big brothers
in Nigeria,
in Abuja and Lagos.
Concluding remarks on Nigeria, what advice can you give them?
I think they've done a very wonderful job. Previous Nigeria elections have been marred with a lot of violence. That does not in any way suggest that this was extremely peaceful. Although this has gone on very, very well. Yeah. We are hoping that the coalition process, which has begun, will also go on very well, because Nigeria is a towering figure in the sub-region. So it's all of us, our concern that everything will go on smoothly in Nigeria. Because if Nigeria does very well, there are a lot of spillover effects, and Ghana will be a great beneficiary. So I think we are hoping that everything pans out well for the good people of Nigeria.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest has been Dr. Bosman Asare, Deputy EC Chair in charge of Corporate Services. Doc, many thanks to you for joining us today.
You are welcome. You are welcome.